Hi everyone, I hope you're all well and welcome to episode 128 of the Layton Fitness Podcast. Now in this specific episode we'll be discussing how do you actually know if you're in an energy deficit or not. Now the reason why I'm bringing this up is I've had this question asked numerous times. I think there's some confusion around this topic, but the reality is the answer is actually very simple. Now what most people typically think, in my opinion, is they're trying to find these magical set of calories and macronutrients, this magical training program, and they just expect to stick with that training program and those nutrition targets for the whole fat loss phase. And once they've calculated those figures, they expect those figures to work immediately. But the reality is it's really important to know that fat loss plateau is all part of the process, and that's really your cue to make a change to either calories or training to continue creating the energy deficit need for fat loss. So in short, you need to appreciate that you're going to have to manipulate your calories and also your training multiple times within a fat loss phase to get you to your end goal. So in short, if you're the only way to know whether you're in an energy deficit or not is whether you're actually losing weight. If you're not seeing a 0.5 to 1% weight loss figure per week, you will not be in an energy deficit. Regardless of where you've calculated your nutrition targets, what training program you're following, if you're not seeing that weight loss, you will not be in an energy deficit, which will bring me on to another point later in this podcast about compliance. But the harsh reality is if you're sticking to those nutrition targets and also the training plan and you're not seeing that 0.5 to 1% weight loss figure, you will not be in an energy deficit. And that's really your cue to make a change to either calories or cardio to basically continue creating the energy deficit. And this is so key. This piece of information really is one of the key piece of information you need to achieve your fat loss goals, because as I mentioned at the start of the podcast, people just expect the nutrition plan, the training program just to work all throughout the fat loss phase, but that's not the case. We need to constantly be making changes. So therefore, if you're not seeing that 0.5 to 1% weight loss target, you need to make a change. And the changes I'd suggest are either to drop calories by approximately 10 to 15%, keeping protein constant, because protein needs to stay constant to preserve lean muscle mass within the fat loss phase, and you're making that 10 to 15% reduction to carbohydrates or fats or a combination of both. It really does not matter. It's all about protein and the daily calorie figures as the most important factors with regards to nutrition within the fat loss phase. The other change you could make is to your cardio to basically increase energy expenditure. So you could increase the duration of your current cardio sessions or simply add in another additional cardio session to your week. So it could be another high intensity interval training session or a continuous session. The real key is to do something to burn calories more than what you're doing now to continue creating that energy deficit. And the point I was just going to mention is the individuals that may be really surprised that they're not achieving that 0.5 to 1% weight loss figure is usually the individual that is not necessarily 100% compliant with their nutrition training targets. If you've got these daily targets, ask yourself honestly, have I actually been 100% compliant? If you have, then it's your cue to make a change. If you haven't, I'd suggest spending one more week on following those nutrition targets and the training as it is, and then if you don't start seeing weight loss, then you can make a change afterwards. Now the other final key consideration specific for women, and this is very typical whenever I start working with coaching clients, I think it's just really important to know that with regards to females and fat loss, it's that much more difficult than males, just because by default you just require more cardio and also less calories to reduce body fat. And therefore, unfortunately for females, quite typically in most situations when I start working with new clients, they're just eating too many calories, and it may seem like they're not consuming that much food, but unfortunately females just require less calories and more cardio compared to males. So if you're in that position where you think your calories are low but you're still not achieving that weight loss figure, you need to continue to reduce calories and or increase energy expenditure, one of the two changes. But that's probably the final point I say is very typical when I'm working with new female coaching clients in particular. They're typically eating more food than they need to create that energy deficit, even though to the naked eye it doesn't look like they're consuming that much food. It's just because females unfortunately just require less calories, more cardio compared to males. So hopefully that's been useful. Hopefully you can start applying this immediately. So in short, if you're not seeing progress fat loss progress, weight loss progress, you need to make a change because you are not in that energy deficit. Thank you very much for listening. If you're still yet to download my free ebook, How to Set Up a Nutrition Plan, if you go to James Layton, Layton, fitness.co.uk, you'll see a tab at the top of the page called free ebook, and you can download that immediately. I look forward to speaking to you next week. Take care.